Hello and welcome everybody to the Windy City's finest On Location with Clark and Perry. I'm Clark, he's Perry, and we are joined today by probably one of the more interesting folks that I'd say, like here in Medicine Hat as well. We have the sole proprietor, the labor force, the CEO of RM Fluid Arts. We have Roxanne here. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here and joining here with us as well too. I should say another big shout out and thank you to Junebug Art Studio, Jolene Rayner. Thank you again so much for allowing us to be in this space and to film here and now as well. But yeah, without further ado, we have you in the space with us. I'm very excited to kind of dive into a little bit of the history that you have with this business and a little bit about yourself as well. So I think to get us kicked off and started off a little bit, I can ask, what inspired you to begin RM Fluid Arts?
You know, I don't know what inspired me to begin the company, but I went through some tough times a few years ago and was looking for some ways to de-stress and find things to kind of cope with that, and my little outlet, stress relief, right?
Yeah.
So I started doing some exploring and trying to do some painting stuff, and then it kind of fell by the wayside a bit. Life happened, and then in the last year and a half I've had a lot of vertigo, dizziness, persistent postural perceptual dizziness is what it's actually called. So I never know what my days are going to be like, and I am very limited in what I can physically do, and at times I can't do much at all. So I turned back to this, and I really got back into it quite a bit because I can do it sitting and I can do it at my own pace, and yeah, it's kind of been my happy place for the last year and a half.
And I've personally found this a little bit of that journey, like one of the most interesting like aspects of it is that you do have vertigo, like you do suffer from these dizzy spells as well, and that this is something that has just become so accessible to you as well.
Absolutely.
So like how did you discover it necessarily? Did you just try to plug and play type deal? Or
I just saw some videos online on Facebook or whatever it was, like years ago, and then the more I've continued, the more I've really wanted to learn more, and just that hunger for knowledge and learning more different techniques and different styles, and there's just so much variety with fluid art that it's endless. They're never the same either, right? When you do your pictures, you can do the same colors, same technique, and each one will be different back to back. So knowing that it sometimes can be frustrating because you don't always get that, but it's that learning and experimenting and never knowing what you're going to end up with.
It's allowing yourself to be in that unpredictable space, right?
Yes, which sometimes can be hard. I'm kind of hard on myself with that. I had a friend that said, you know, this is the painting I did today, and I was so frustrated because I wanted it to look like this. And she said, well, then you're doing the wrong artwork, Roxanne, because just enjoy it and just be happy with doing it.
Enjoy the process.
The process, exactly.
Figure it out on your, allow it to be a journey as well.
Exactly.
I'm very excited because later in the part of this segment, we have of course a lot of these demonstrations of what you do, like typically in your home, which I'm very excited for because we haven't interviewed a resident artist, but a fluid artist like yourself as well. So I think that's going to be pretty exciting as well. You mentioned that you started RM Fluid Arts, I think, coming from some hard times as well. So I think we don't have to get into those details as to what was what, but when things do get tough, how do you typically cope?
I'm down in the basement. I am getting my hands dirty, and sometimes I don't really have inspiration to do a painting, but just being in that space, that me time, that just puttering, cleaning, whatever, just finding that quiet time to just reflect and think about things in process.
What do you think about doing something else kind of helps you take your mind off things?
What else do I like? I like to do. I used to love to read. I can't do as much reading with the dizziness thing. It limits me with that as well. But I like to listen to podcasts and audiobooks, music, of course. And this is my primary thing right now because it's so flexible. What I can do with it. So
Well, I really appreciate the fact as well too, where it's like if life or a lot of stuff is kind of going awry or is being unpredictable. Funnily enough, even despite fluid arts being a bit of an unpredictable craft, it's still something that you have a lot of control over as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And to kind of help you keep your mind off things as well. No, that's interesting. So on the flip side of things, when things are going very well or smoothly, how do you celebrate typically?
Same thing.
Same thing. All right.
It's you know, it's just that. I mean, I love spending time with my family and getting outside. Again, physically quite limited with a lot of the stuff that I can do, but there's just so many different aspects that I'm spending so much time by myself.
Yeah.
Good or bad days.
Yeah.
I know that's always going to pick me up on the bad days, and it makes me happier on the good days, right? So,
Nice.
yeah.
That's actually, like, I think that's a very rare thing to have as well, that you're able to, like you say, you're able to enjoy it, and it kind of brings you out of those bad days, but you're also able to enjoy it on the good days, and you're just able to kind of work away. If you don't mind me asking as well too, I know that previously, like to some of your previous answers to some of our questions as we led up to this feature, that this used to be a very private thing for yourself as well. Like it used to be for just family. Could you talk to us a little bit about that journey to become a little bit more public even?
Yeah. So I moved in with my new boyfriend a year ago, and when we moved in together, my boxes of canvases were overwhelming in the basement, and he said, you know, you really have to pick your favorites, hang them on the wall, and you know, like really got to get rid of some of these.
Yeah.
And then he really kind of pushed me. We went through them one night with the boxes, and he was like, why isn't this stuff out? I said, I never really had much. I had some in my bedroom in the other house, but he said, you know, this is really cool. I see a lot of people love this stuff. Like, you need to keep doing this. And then he really saw how it's my happy place. So he said, I can see how it changes your mood. So if I'm grumpy or down or, you know, frustrated with my physical situation, he's like, go to the basement. You know, like he really has encouraged me to just do it a lot more. And I think in seeing that positive response from that, he's really encouraged me a lot, and kind of brought me out of my comfort zone to share that with people, because that's a part of me and my healing, and for me to share that piece with other people, and if it makes them happy, then it's a bonus, right? So that's even better.
Shout out supportive partners.
Right?
We love that.
I know.
We love that. And I mean, I think that's actually so funny too, because like that is how we actually met as well, and how we even organized this feature in the first place is that we met you in a public space and kind of said, hey, we really like your stuff. We would love to like sit down and kind of get to know the person behind it, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. I think that's a fantastic, like, speaking to the journey. And I mean, speaking of beginnings, it's actually kind of a little bit recent as well too. You've recently moved here to Medicine Hat within the past year or so.
Yeah, just over a year ago.
What kind of encouraged the move? The move.
Well, I met a guy, so
Yeah.
that was it. Yeah, and I think I knew where I was at. I wasn't going to stay there forever. My kids are back there, but it's still close, so I can still go and see them quite often. And but I knew there was changes in my future with where I was going to be. I just hadn't quite decided where, and well, he influenced that as well.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful city. So,
yeah, and I was about to say, it seems like you've certainly taken this journey and getting out of your comfort zone as well too. Which again, thank you again so much for agreeing to this feature. I can only imagine what this kind of felt like leading up to the moments as well too.
Yeah.
But I find that very interesting. What exactly about Medicine Hat, like, do you, because you've only ever spoken positively about the city as well too. I'm wondering a little bit more of what you can say that you enjoy about this space here.
You know, people are just friendly for the most part. Wherever I've had interactions with people, if you say I'm new to Medicine Hat, or I don't know where this is or something, and you're asking somebody, they are welcoming. You know, it's always welcome to Medicine Hat, and it's great that you're here, and then I get a lot of, have you been to this place, or have you done this and that. So it's nice. It's nice to have that. It's like a small town feel in a small city.
Yes. Okay. I actually have a saying for this because Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, like that we do our features, have a lot of similarities in size and structure and all that stuff too. And I always say it's always small town, big city energy.
Yeah.
And it's like you still know everybody and there's still that friendly culture as well. But it's small enough that you get to know people, but it's large enough that you can still do a lot of things.
Yeah,
And there's so much arts and cultures here that we're able to find, myself and Perry, just being able to go to markets and find some interesting people. And the fact that they are so friendly, because it can be a little off-putting where we're kind of like, hi, we'd like to interview you. Is that cool? Or something like that. Nobody shoot us away yet. So it's great. It's great. No, that's perfect. So one of the things that, another thing that I'd probably like to ask you as well is, have there been any unique experiences or any person of influence that you would say, from way back beginning, leading to this journey to where you're at now, that you could speak to or about?
Oh, goodness.
That's a big one.
That is, and I'm thinking, what did I tell you when I wrote that right now?
That's okay. The answer can change as well, too.
Who influenced me? Well, obviously my family. That's huge, right? My kids would, I'd get the, oh great, now we're eating at the island again this week or in the living room today. Because I would used to, when I lived at my other house with the kids, there was a big kitchen table and that was where I did my painting. It would all be out and they're like, oh man, now it's here for days again. But they always came and checked it out and they thought it was cool, and the kids came and did some stuff with me. And I say kids, but they're almost all, like my baby's 16 and my oldest is 21 and the middle's
Teenagers.
20, right? So they're adults now, but they were, but they always supported and encouraged it. So that was great too. And family, really, the family's really been there to support and encourage and cheer me on.
is like, would you say like your connections to family have always been present throughout your whole lifetime? And the reasons being is it more of that small town locations, or what would you say?
I think we just grew up as a pretty close family. Like my siblings and I, we always do family events and stuff, and we're all a little more spread out now, so we don't see each other as much, but we still try to stay connected and still do those things while it's still a little bit more of a challenge. And you try to keep that as you go forward with my kids, the next generation, right? So
it makes you really put an emphasis on that quality time as well.
100%.
Yeah. Well, and that might lead into my next question is, what is your love language?
It's quality time.
Excellent.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I find a lot of that is kind of already emphasized in some of your history as well too, like even where you're able to display, like almost as an open door policy. You're not necessarily doing things in a private space, like with the door closed behind, and then you would come out to visit children. It was always out in the open. Yeah. And I feel like it's very interesting because I like to put the parallels right now that this is now your way of opening things up to other people as well. And I'm very excited to see what this is gonna look like here in the future too. But excellent. So I guess my next question would be, what are your other hobbies or interests outside of work and or RM Fluid Arts?
I used to love to garden and cooking. I love cooking. Don't do much baking because I eat it, but cooking, baking, gardening. I even did some indoor hydroponic gardening a couple of years ago.
Hydroponic gardening?
Yeah, like in tubs, like water.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so
okay,
I did
sweet.
like tomatoes and vegetables and
like
that.
the largest petri dish you could find.
Well, I actually used like Rubbermaid totes and I cut holes in the lids and I had grow lights and I was like, veggies are getting so expensive. We're going to grow our own. So one of my spare bedrooms became a little indoor garden, jungle perhaps, like 6 foot tall tomatoes. But I'm not that great at those veggies, so
well,
they didn't do as well.
6 foot tall tomato plants sounds pretty successful.
They weren't very fruitful.
Okay.
So yeah, so I just kind of see things and I think, I'm gonna do that. I really like to try and do a lot of things. I've done furniture refinishing and made some river tables with resin in the in between the wood, and
Yeah.
I'm always trying different things, little crafts and stuff too.
I'm getting like that sense of experimentation, and always that experimentation and trying new things as well.
And learning and growing.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if, where does that necessarily come from in you, if you would be able to find where it could?
I think that probably because I went back to school as an adult, like to university. I was in my 30s. I had 3 children. I lived an hour from Mount Royal College, and I did it for just about 5 years. I did some upgrading and went back to become an RN. And even I think that kind of created some thirst for knowledge in me, that even after school, by the first, I think it was about a year after, I had done so many courses outside, like after university courses, that when I went to look at about another job, working on reserves up north, when I got there, the nurse practitioner said to me, "You have more courses after school than anybody else I've ever seen, and you've done them only in a year." So I'm just like, but there's just so much to learn, and I want to know how to do my job and do it well, safely for the patients, right? So I think that kind of stirred that in me, the university.
Well, I can imagine as well too, you've after your typical grade school, you had like that period of growth up until your time at 30, and then all of a sudden, hey, here's that plug-in to all this like very quick, very focused way of educating yourself. And
Absolutely.
I can certainly empathize. I can understand that, where that comes from as well, of just being able to be like, oh wow, it's almost like a rush, right? You're just like, I feel so powerful.
I have more knowledge.
Yeah. Well, and then you're able to just understand and be able to see where else you can kind of take things as well too. So I think for any viewers that I hope can still connect to that, or are looking for maybe ways out as well too. But anyways, I've been gabbing on long enough as well too. Thank you again so much. Do we have something here, Perry?
Yeah, James G says, "Love all the art. Keep it up. They are amazing."
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, James, for throwing down the comment. We really appreciate you, and for tuning in as well too. But I think this is going to be all the time that we have for this segment. I'm very excited to get into everything else that we've just kind of discussed as well. For those of you tuning in right now, we're going to take a quick 10-minute break or so. For those of you tuning in onto the YouTube video or onto TELUS Opta TV, stay tuned here really, really quickly, because the transition is going to be even quicker. Awesome. For the time being, this has been the Windy City's Finest on location with Clark and Perry. I'm Clark. Finest on location with Clark and Perry. I'm Clark. He's Perry, and we are joined once again with Roxanne with RM Fluid Arts. Roxanne, thank you again so much for allowing us to kind of get a chance to get to know you and a little bit of your history as well too, and your personality. I am so excited to take on a new approach when it comes to the fluid arts and really put the name into the game for the most part. So could you tell me a little bit of what we have in front of us for our viewers as well?
So this is just acrylic paint. You're lucky you're starting with some professional acrylic paints. When I started, it was dollar store craft paints.
Oh, so you treat me.
Not as nice.
That's fair. That is fair.
So we're going to start with just the basic one. This is the first technique I ever tried. And it's just a flip cup. So we just put paints in the cup. They're acrylic paints. We just layer them in the cup, and then you're going to put it on the canvas and do the, you'll see.
And you started...
Try not to make a mess.
Yeah.
Not too mess.
Too much. But we have nice preparation. We have a nice little sheet. We got a nice little tray as well too, to kind of help prevent any mess developing. But you mentioned as well that we have more professional paints for the most part. You mentioned that you were able to do this and start with it with even cheaper paints, right?
Yeah, everything was from the dollar store.
Right.
Everything, right to the canvases.
Amazing.
Everything, yeah. Well, I was using glue with it, so there's different stuff to mix with the paints to get the consistencies that you want and the reactions you want. So you can start cheap.
If I may ask, what would glue add to this process?
So the glue and the water just kind of helps it stay together, the paints together, and it'll give it a finish as well. And things blown around. it just gives, the paint can go a little further.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice.
So glue and water.
And I guess lastly, for like an accessibility bit as well too, like you upgraded to these types of paints now. What is typically the advantage on taking this next step?
The bright
That
nice.
Junebug had some like kitty aprons, and I'm an apron person, so absolutely.
Okay, so we're just going to layer them.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with a lot of fluid art is it's all about consistency of your paints,
Right.
and they have to be the same.
So I like how you're pouring, I guess, kind of
The
on the
side.
cup on the side. Why are you doing that?
So that it stays separate.
Stays separate.
You can mix it around, doesn't matter too much, but I want it to stay separate for this one.
Because you're because you're layering
Yeah.
it together.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. They could call you a mixologist, I guess.
You know, I've been told the reason I like doing this, my boyfriend said, is because it's a little science, a little math, and art in the end.
And a whole lot of
And
art at the same time.
experimenting, right? So yeah. So then I'll just layer, layer, layer.
I can really see the difference as well too. So for viewers who can't see as well, when it comes to the layering, it's as soon as you start to hit the side of the cup is when it actually starts to spread out. That is really cool and makes a lot of sense to me.
See in the
Yeah. You can kind of see a little bit on the side where it kind of like just collectively mixes together, but on the top, it's able to mix quite well.
the key is not to push it too hard down the side so it doesn't sink.
And you're alternating layers as well. Like, when do you know typically that a layer is maybe finished?
I'm just winging it.
That's the artistry.
Totally winging it.
Well, I appreciate the honesty there.
Yeah.
How full are you going to fill this?
That is it right there.
Ah, perfect.
Depends on the thickness of your paints and
Good.
the size of the canvas. I think I actually might have a little bit too much, but it's better to have too much than too little, and I always save the paints and use them on another project, so that's why I use the trays. Yeah, so this is your job now.
Okay, sounds
You
good.
ready for it?
I was demonstrated it a little bit before, but essentially I'm going to hold this.
Because it'll be a little more awkward to go,
There we go.
Perfect.
There we go.
Then it'll be easier. Just make sure they stay together. Otherwise, we'll be wearing it. I'll just take a step back.
You don't have
It's not
confidence in
that
me?
hard. It's not that hard. You can do it.
Okay.
I've done it with little kids, so.
Yeah. Little
No
kids.
pressure.
Little kids can do this. Okay. Sounds good. No pressure at all. Whew. 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Now put that back down, like on the tray there.
Yeah, okay.
So there.
I'm a little tense. I'm a little tense right now.
Stretching the canvas, he's so stretched. So you can lift it straight up, or you can lift it and pull it away to one side, whichever.
I'm gonna try just a straight up method. We're gonna see how it looks as it centralizes out. 3, 2, 1.
And then you can put that anywhere you want because it'll create more design.
The drips?
Yeah,
Oh.
just develop as well. Now you can use a torch or I think I forgot to grab something. We'll see how it looks after. There's a lot of different things that you can do to make different designs in the paint once that's on there. You can probably, if you're, sorry,
That's
you're
the sign that
probably
I'm
good.
done.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll show you some other techniques. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick it up by the wood again, and then
Okay.
you're just going to tilt. Like you'll go to one corner and then the other and the other.
Is the
and
goal
then
to
you
cover the
whole
canvas?
canvas.
Okay,
Gotcha.
you got it. All right. How many other people have had a chance to kind of see and watch your technique? Oh, I think I'm spilling a little
You
bit
know
over.
what? I haven't done this technique in so long. I did one yesterday just to remind myself
Oh.
the thickness of the paints.
Yeah.
because I think I really just try so many different techniques that I just move on.
Yeah.
And you
no,
can
that's
even
fair.
go over the edge too. We can go back. Yeah, because
I shouldn't be afraid.
don't be scared.
I'm not scared.
It won't.
Hi.
But yeah, I've done this with my kids, with the kids' girlfriends and some friends' kids and my boyfriend's daughter. And
Well, how's my techniques working so
good,
far?
pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't have to be too kind, but thank you. Thank you for lying.
that's working.
work that I've seen at your booth back at the Bees and Blossoms. This is really interesting, and such an a new way. We haven't. You were the first of the kind so far. We haven't interviewed anything like this before, which is very exhilarating.
Well, you never know what's. I was thinking that I would do one side by side with you.
Yeah.
For this segment, and I thought, no, let's just let you do this part.
Yeah.
But just to show that you can do the same thing side by side, same
Mm-hmm.
paints, same everything, and it'll never be the same.
Wow. And I was about to say, you got the tray underneath so that you can kind of save a little bit of those paints as well. And you have, of course, pretty much all you need is that cloth, that tablecloth that you don't necessarily care about. And I'm gonna slowly move my way down to that bottom corner just so that I can cover it, and then.
Well, you do that. I'm just going to grab a little something out of the side here that I forgot to grab to show you.
A surprise! A surprise!
Things that you can do to get different effects.
Okay. Excellent, because I just covered all the corners.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Mostly. That's okay. What we can do is just dip on the finger and then just tap to it as well. So,
Am I able to place this down, or is it?
You can. Now, if you just tip a little bit one way, just so I can see how much is left. If there's too much, this is one of the tricky parts, is if there's too much paint left on it, the paint can crack on the canvas, so it would be ruined. So I think it's pretty good, though.
Yeah. How's it looking?
It's not looking like there's much movement anymore, so we should be good.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to give you something else. There's some great little designs. Just gently tap it down.
Gently.
In the paint.
Okay, sounds
don't
good.
Poke through the canvas. We're not looking for appies here.
Okay. Let's. Ooh. Wow. Oh no, we need to zoom in on this. I'm
This
sorry,
way,
Perry.
they'll grow. We might want to show them after.
Wow. It's still moving.
Oh yes.
What?
I've done this, and then here you dip on in again. So this is just silicone oil.
Oh, this isn't okay. This
Yeah.
isn't just the toothpick. This is
No,
an oil.
this is
I didn't.
An oil.
I didn't even clock that we
You
coated
can use
this thing.
hair serum that we use in our hair,
Oh.
and those will grow quite a bit bigger.
Wow.
And then it'll have the layers, yeah. So you
Yeah.
can put as many, or we're gonna do different techniques. So
Oh my goodness.
this is just to kind of show you how you can take something so simple.
Wow.
And yet, like some people like the simple, not as much going on, but then you can do these and get a totally different, funky.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, from having a tablecloth, a pan, some paints, and a canvas. Wow.
And we
Yeah.
can take a look back later on, and you'll see how much they will grow.
I poked this center location quite a bit, so, oh, wow, that is... And I like how specific, like, it's not like melding together.
They're growing together.
They're growing
They're
together,
separate,
yeah.
But together.
It's like cookies.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me think of cookies. When I'm looking at it, like, just this centerpiece is that they're all kind of growing together, but they're still
Just
separate.
expanding.
Yeah, yeah. That is so cool.
I've had people tell me that it looks like when you're in high school or university, whatever, looking under a microscope.
Yeah,
You see the little
microbes
cells
and everything.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I'm pretty happy with what I see right here and
Perfect.
right now. Do we have any other tricks up the sleeve as well?
We can do one other little technique. It's
Okay.
going to require a steady hand. Do you think you can handle it?
I'm focused. I'm focused. I hope our viewers right now have kind of admired a little bit of. I'm trying to contain as much excitement as possible. It's
So how big of a spot? We are going to take a palette knife, and then you're gonna just dab this on, and you're gonna just swipe it over the top of the surface very, very gently.
anywhere
How big?
on the surface.
How big? Yeah, anywhere you want, and you'll see a different effect.
Let's do
Want this
this
guy?
size.
Okay.
What I'm imagining is that I like this line of dots here, but I'd like to see what I do with it
If you go over it.
if I go over them.
I tested that yesterday. Okay.
Oh!
I will put this stuff on here for you because I see a fuzzy. Now this is, I call this Aussie Gold.
Aussie gold.
This little product is from Australia
Okay.
with some paints, and it does some funky things.
And it's
So
just a light
you're
brush.
just gonna go like like as flat as you can, just skim the surface where you want it and just glide. Yep, perfect. Keep going. Wherever you want to go.
Like I said, I really liked the line that I had, so I'm going to just stretch around.
There, now you really got it. See the white to come off there?
Oh, I see.
I think
Okay.
you're not quite. So you'll see a little different here, but you'll see. Look at that, how good that goes.
Yeah, that's. But I really like that shape as well too. I might try something
Do you want to-
similar
Yeah.
one more time as
Just
well.
get a little wipe off here.
Oh, okay.
'Cause if we have too much of this
yes.
paint on here, well, we can't mix it in this. So now you got the feel for the first one.
There we go. There it is. There we go.
Look at that.
Cool. Wow, that is, and so you call this Aussie gold, but
Yeah.
what is this technique called?
So this is a flip cup. This is just a swipe.
Cup. This is just a
Yeah,
swipe.
it's just called a swipe. you know.
Nice.
So
I
that's just
really appreciate the
technique.
terminology.
Yeah.
It's nice and simple.
Yeah. It's a swipe technique, yeah.
Awesome. We'll take
now-
one more look at that right there, but essentially this, you just let it dry after,
Yeah.
say, a few days or so, and then just like
So
that.
we'd put a finish on it after, so it keeps a little bit more of the shine or fade like a dull finish,
Yeah.
but to protect it as well. So yeah.
Okay.
So you just learned 3 techniques right there.
Um,
all in the same painting.
I already feel so powerful. So much knowledge has just been connected through osmosis. But I'm very excited to kind of see a little bit of the master at work as well,
Okay.
too. And later in this segment, we do have, of course, you're going to be a little bit more active here with Perry, who is just behind the camera. But I think for the time being, I love with where this has kind of ended up, and I hope our
Perfect.
viewers can kind of see just how, honestly, how simple this was for even myself to do. And I don't have any practical skills.
No, you did awesome.
Well, yeah. Well, so for those of you, I don't know if we have any comments there. Oh, Perry, you got something?
I believe Michaela asked, what's her favorite color?
She knows that.
That totally makes sense.
My ocean colors, I always lead to these, yes.
Amazing, amazing. Well,
Got another one?
ah,
And Michaela said that she had done this technique.
Yeah.
And I asked how she thought you were doing, and she said you were doing well.
awesome. Okay, well, I appreciate the validation as well, too, but it wasn't necessary. Awesome. Well, no, thank you again so much for sharing this with me. For those of you tuning in right now, that's all the time that we have for this quick segment. Stay tuned, of course, real quick, because we'll have a 10-minute break before we have Perry kind of taking the reins and doing the activity here with Roxanne, hand in hand for the most part. For those of you tuning into the YouTube and the TELUS Optic TV as well, thank you so much for watching so far. Stay tuned, of course. This has been the Windy City's Finest on location with Clark and Perry. I'm Clark.
This is the Windy City's Finest on location with Clark and Perry. I'm Perry. He's Clark, and we are joined once again by Roxanne with RM Fluid Arts. Thank you so much for meeting with us to do this feature. This is brand new for both Clark and I, and especially me right now. But yeah, I think let's just set ourselves up for success here. What are we looking at doing in this segment? What do we have in front of us?
So we have acrylic paints again. This is a pearl technique, so it's really about layers, but very, very thin. And it's getting a chemical reaction with the other stuff inside of the colors of the paints, and just seeing how they come out and how the paints react together.
Nice.
So,
And so is this paint different from what we just saw kind of with Clark?
no, the paint is the same.
Yeah.
The stuff mixed with it is different.
Stuff
So
mixed
different
with it.
techniques, you'll have different chemicals or additives to them to get the different chemical reactions.
Very
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
And so kind of like what I'm seeing is like, it's kind of how you mix in the cup, you kind of mix the colors. But this seems a little more different, I guess,
is,
where
it
you kind of
is.
have a base layer.
Yeah, so we'll do
and then-
base and then different layers all over top. We'll do a whole bunch of very
All
thin
over top.
layers,
Nice.
and then we'll just shift them and tilt them all around and
Similar
then see what comes out.
techniques, but
yeah,
yeah, okay,
yeah,
awesome.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I think let's dive in. So I'm
Okay.
going to let you lead here and
For
just show the
sure.
first step, and then I'll kind of try and emulate
bet.
that, I think.
Okay. So first one are the base coats, and these have an enamel in them. So this is what will give us the pearl technique that we're going for.
And when you say has enamel in it, Again, I'm not sure. What
It's
does that mean?
so like it's a house paint enamel base
Okay.
in that one. So
Cool.
actually, I'm going to use just a little tiny bit more in the
Yeah.
middle there. I missed a little.
Yeah.
There we go.
And
So
one thing I really love is that it's kind of like measure with your heart, you know?
Yeah.
Even in the cup, it's kind of, you measure with your heart to a certain extent. And because yeah, you don't really know how much you need to cover the section.
I mean, I do if
With
I was to
practice?
calculate it,
Right.
but for this technique, because it's so thin and it'll move so easily,
Yeah.
it's just get it on there and shift it around. So yeah.
So that's interesting because what I'm hearing is it's like the thinness of the paint actually will also help it spread easier.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
it'll
cool.
move more quickly. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
I'm gonna try and
so yeah,
emulate
you do
here
that one.
and just get. Another thing I heard was to not be scared of it, I guess.
Nope.
So I'm gonna try not. I'm gonna be brave.
Yeah.
um,
Perfect. So we're just going to do it basically in thirds, these sections.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. I'll put that
I'm
back in.
actually going to try to get just a little, there we go. Okay, and then we'll do the middle.
And when you do these pieces, do you have like, because we've said, like they're different every time. Like, do you have a vision in mind, or more so like a
Yes.
blurry vision? Or
Yes,
what
I
does that
do.
look like?
Usually, with specifically this technique, yeah, just throw her all the way across. You'll need a little bit more with that one. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've learned what I visualize doesn't generally come out on the canvas. So
Yeah.
I think you might actually want to put just a little bit more of the base, because
Sounds good.
if we try to think of it as in thirds
Yeah.
and how much that'll spread. So
Okay,
yeah, just a
so
little more of
this
this one. Yeah,
Okay.
you bet.
We'll fill in this little crack there, and then.
Perfect.
And yeah, so you're saying we're gonna think of it in thirds.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just, I don't know.
No,
Because
it's
I
just the way
decided
you've
to
done
do
it.
3 today and not 2.
Yeah, fair enough.
And that's you know what, if it gets a little chunk, we can just pop the top off
Oh,
here.
okay.
Sometimes there's
Just
a
little
mixer
chunks.
error.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, there you go.
Nice. Is it okay?
That
if they
is
touch?
totally okay, because it's all gonna mix.
I
Yeah,
love that. It
yeah.
takes the perfectionism out of it.
Right,
You know? It's
exactly.
Like, it's okay. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so now we'll do the blue. Oh, I almost took too. You might need a little more of the green one. I might
We'll-
have taken too much there.
We'll make it work here.
Just use that all up.
Ah,
And now you can use the rest of this guy.
just to fill in.
Yeah, just to get a little more of the base so that we kind of want this to be able to cover the whole canvas. We are going to be adding more paint anyways, but it's
Right.
to get that reaction. So
Right.
perfect.
Awesome.
Okay. So then we'll go back up to the top. Now these ones are just the colors. Good.
Okay.
That we're adding to it. So again, you'll see this start to come a little bit like the reaction. It'll probably start to make a little bit of something already.
And is there method to the madness with colors, or it's kind of just a?
Yeah, you do have to have colors that work together.
Okay.
We can use the rest of that. If you use like, I'm trying to think, a lot of things can muddy
Yeah.
if you mix the wrong colors together, right?
Right,
So
okay,
you have
yeah.
to think of like the color wheel and primary and secondary colors
Interesting.
and stuff.
Is that
so-
kind of that like sciencey
yeah.
part of it?
Yeah, a little
Very
bit. Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Okay,
Cool.
so we'll move to the next.
You know, it reminds me of like baristas when they're making the coffee and they add all the milk and it makes
Yeah.
a really cool pattern.
I'm
Yeah.
going to take this one off here.
Yeah,
So-
that sounds good.
Now this technique, it really matters to have a level surface.
Right.
If it's not level, it'll just all run off because it's so thin.
Oh gosh.
No, that's
That
good.
work?
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna add a little more.
it's okay. You can't do this wrong.
Right.
Like I said, I have the friend that told me, if you think that you have this idea in your head and it's not how you wanted it when it turned out, you're doing the wrong kind of art, because I can't predict exactly how this is going to turn out either. So, okay, so next layer.
I see. So we've broken the canvas up into thirds, and each third has 3 colors in it.
Yep, it's got one base color and then 2 other ones.
And then 2 others that will react with it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Oh, now mine's starting to run.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for this?
I think so. So what are we doing next?
So now I'll do this. You can watch me do mine first.
Okay.
We'll have to watch your. He's going to try and run off here,
I got
isn't he?
it.
You got him? Okay. So what we do is same thing we did earlier. Try to make sure that we get the whole canvas covered without losing half of it to the floor. Sometimes you got to get your paws in there. Don't be scared to get dirty. Maybe come back to that spot that doesn't want to work.
Right.
So this one can be quite, yeah, I probably used too much, but that's okay.
That's okay. I'm losing a bit of mine, so I'm going to get started here on trying to cover the canvas.
You can use the canvas or the tray, whichever you choose.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Good point. Okay. Much easier to use the canvas itself. I'm finding. Ooh.
I know.
Oh, it's so cool to see it kind of rolling over itself.
Yes.
Yeah. Whoop. Nice.
And you can, if it's going too fast, you feel like you're going to lose it, you just slow it down.
Slow
Yeah.
down.
I guess I did mine kind of fast because I wanted to not take too much of the time doing mine.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Oh, I see a couple chunks I missed. Oh boy. Fail.
That's okay. And so that just comes with the mixing portion
Yeah.
of it, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it does.
Very cool. All right. So the idea is to cover the entire canvas.
Entire
right?
canvas, and then again, get off any excess that we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like there's bits where it's just not going.
I know, hey? So what you
You
can do, I'll just get my pot, and just
Just-
kind of
yeah.
guide it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. I
Yeah,
have another
just-
spot like that.
Yep, exactly.
Cool.
Even if you just touch right on the edge, and then as soon as it's wet, it'll
It'll kind
follow.
of do the
Yeah,
rest. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to kind of recenter for this. Whoop. Get these edges.
Perfect. And we want excess off, so think of which stuff you want to get rid of.
Oh, interesting.
So to keep which colors.
Mm.
Now this one is not going to react so much. I don't know if I like that. See?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, on a generally speaking, like, how long do you think it takes you, like, when you have an experiment out, let's say, and it doesn't quite go how you wanted, what do you do with that project afterwards?
I either swipe it all off right then and there,
Yeah.
or I'll paint over it later after it dries. Usually, if I'm not happy with the reaction that I'm getting right away,
Yeah.
I'll just swipe it and scoop that paint up and use it later.
Yeah.
Now, I should probably have thought about this. This base color we used
Yeah.
is scrapings from another painting.
Ah.
So I probably might have messed that up for us
okay.
in the sense that that might not react as much as one of the other ones would because
Right.
it doesn't have as much of that enamel in there.
Right.
But so this one, you'll start to see, and this one we might have to come back to. I think I forgot to tell you guys that
Yeah,
to
that's
look at
okay.
after because it'll process a little more over time.
Right. It
So,
kinda takes a bit of time.
Yeah. So the other thing is if, again, like we did earlier, if it's not doing what you want, why not give you a chance to do the same thing?
For sure. And I noticed, can you do the same thing with the drops or not?
You can, yeah. If you want to drop them on, you go right ahead. It's your painting. So, oh, sure.
But then, yeah, we'll try the same thing that Clark got to try.
Yeah.
Do I need some
Do
towel?
you want? Yeah.
for-
Here, I'll give you a piece. Sorry.
No,
Make
you're
you
good.
Stand there and.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Now, let's see. You really don't need much of this. So you can see mine's starting to do some stuff here. How it opens up and shows the colors underneath.
Right.
But I will give that to you.
Yeah, and again, you're just trying to...
Just dot wherever you want to see those colors open up.
Wow.
Just
kinda
like that,
a,
hey? It's like...
Yeah, it reminds me of like in a lake when a droplet and it kind
The
of...
ripple effect?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And see,
very
look
cool.
at with the thinner paint, see how quickly it
Yeah.
does that?
Interesting. Very cool, very cool. Do I need to do it
You
again?
can
or-
probably get a couple dots out of there
Few
if you
more,
want.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's try up here in the white areas.
And then we'll
Nice.
see if there is. Yeah, there is. So it all depends where the paint is layered, whether you'll see it or not, right? So
yeah. Awesome. I'm gonna actually focus around this center one
that.
and just see what that looks like. If we do that. Very cool. And so yeah, so it's very interesting because it's like there's different like you just see the top layer, and so the idea is that it reacts through those layers, and it kind of brings out more
Brings
color
out the
with
others.
time.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
interesting. Cool. There's a
Yeah.
metaphor in there somewhere. But very
Yeah,
cool.
see the different
Yeah.
layered effects, and then wherever you're going to see more of the layers, you'll see more rings of the different colors. So
Right.
just depending.
Yeah. No, that's super interesting because even with this, you can see the colors underneath are different depending on where the point hits.
Yep,
Very
exactly.
Cool. Do one more right in here.
You might need. We'll see. I don't know if you're going to need more. Oh no, it's going.
It's going.
It's
Nice.
going. Yeah. Do you want to do
Awesome.
more? Or are you happy with this guy?
I think I'm happy with this
Okay,
guy.
we can kind of look back and see if this reacts anymore. Otherwise, I would probably say I
Yeah.
would probably not be happy with mine if it's not reacting, and I would do more to change it. And and that's why I said let's pull this out and try these
Yeah.
different ones because it's being a little slow to react, and that's probably because I reused some old scrapings.
That's totally okay.
But hey, there's
Reusing
so much
is
waste
better,
in this.
yeah.
I try. So then what I would just do is take this home and add a little more of that enamel back into that, so I can just get more of an effect with it.
Yeah. No, I love the idea of reusing your paints and not just like wasting them and letting
Yeah.
them sit there.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this method was called the Pearl method?
Pearl, yes.
Pearl method.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, mine's slowly coming along. Yours did a little more here,
A little bit more in the bottom,
Yeah.
hey? Very cool.
but yeah.
Yeah, nice. And so let's say it did react how you wanted it to. What are kind of the next steps for this?
Same
piece?
thing, just let it dry,
Let it
and
dry.
then I put a finish coat of shiny matte satin, whatever you'd want on it. And yeah, that would be it. That's pretty much all. I mean,
Right on.
you can always add more stuff to your painting. So I've done some that I've looked at and I'm like, well, this spot has too much of this green, so I'll paint a little after it's dry with a
Right.
brush, add stuff to it. Or the defined areas, they weren't as defined and I wanted them more defined, so I'd
Right.
add them in as well. So
Nice.
yeah.
Right on. Well, I think that is all the time we have for this segment. So thank you so much for sharing this with me and letting me experience this. This is so cool. And we'll give it some time, maybe come back to it in our next segment. So if you're on the live stream, stay tuned. If you're tuning in through Telesoptic TV or otherwise, check out the next episode. Do we have any comments?
We have Michaela saying, Avery and I are so proud of her. We miss her.
Aww, love it.
That's my son and his girlfriend. So,
Oh,
yeah.
awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. Yes, that is all the time we have for this segment. So stay tuned, folks. This has been the Windy City's finest on location with Clark and Perry. I'm Perry. He's Clark. And this has been Roxanne with RM Fluid Arts.
Hello and welcome everybody once again to the Windy City's finest on location with Clark and Perry. I'm Clark, he's Perry, and we are joined once again with Roxanne of RM Fluid Arts. For the final segment, I should add as well too. Makes me a bit sad because I've been so thankful that you've been teaching us so much as well so far. But we still have more to go.
We do.
What do we have in front of us right now?
So we are going to do some coasters, and this is the Shelley Art Bloom technique. She is an artist from Australia that
Nice.
I've learned and taken an online course through and
Right.
watched a lot of stuff on how to do this technique. It's a tricky one. I went straight from the flip cups and that kind of thing that we did, those basic ones, right into this, not realizing it was the hardest one. So it's taken a lot more time, and the paints can be quite finicky.
Yes,
So,
okay, I can imagine.
So it's a 3-layer technique. And then these I usually resin and use them as coasters for your coffee cups and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, that's kind of amusing to me that you started simple and then went for the most
right
challenging.
for the,
Right.
yeah,
It may have been unknown at the time, but
Yeah.
but how was that experience? How was that jump? How was that journey?
It took a lot longer
Yeah.
to figure the technique out, and still some days I just can't get, the paints don't want to work, and they're really, these paints are quite finicky with temperature as well, and I work in the basement in the winter, they don't always work so well, so.
Well, like you were saying, if you were striving for perfection, this isn't the art to get into, right?
No, exactly.
But I really appreciate this experimentation.
Yeah.
I've been very excited to kind of see the swivel art actually start
You want to do
come
the
in.
spinning, I know.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this.
So what's our first steps when it comes to this?
So I glued down the tile. Let's just put a little paint on there so it doesn't spin off when we spin it. Now we don't spin too fast because we don't want it going crazy. So this, we'll just jump in.
Let's do it.
So this is actually a house paint, the base, and what it is.
Oh, like one of those big cans of paints and everything? Okay.
So we call this the pillow paint, and this is, I think she described it as the vehicle.
Okay.
To drive the colors to the edge is kind of the best way to describe it. I think I've heard it. So then we use colors. Now these are all mixed with different component, like different chemicals again.
And just to talk real quick about like the vehicle, I noticed it's a white base coat essentially, and that is a neutral, is it like, what else, are there other colors that you would use?
You
or would it
can,
just be
there's really only specific products that you can use for this, and I
okay.
believe in Canada there's only 2 kinds of paint we can use.
Oh.
If we lived in the States or other places,
Now
there's
there-
different
yeah,
options,
of
but
course.
depending on how the chemical components are in those brands.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay, so it may not necessarily be the color, but it's more about the composition of the paint
exactly.
itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so house paint was
House,
our-
yeah, not just any house paint. Yeah,
Right.
there's,
Okay.
yeah. So now this is another paint, but these are the colors. So we just kind of drizzle
Starting
some
right from the middle,
on.
yeah.
And there's lots of different ways you can do this. And hopefully we'll have time to do a couple.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna drizzle, drizzle, drizzle. Oh, make a
I
mess.
can, well, with the experience that I've already had with what's going on, I can already see how this is going to stretch out a little bit.
You can.
I feel like it's
We'll
going to be a
see.
flower of some kind, or
And-
something
and-
that like branches out a little bit.
Yeah, you can. I think that's probably why they call it the bloom.
Yeah.
But let me just, I'm trying to decide if we want gold or copper as the other color. So this is that Aussie gold stuff you used earlier.
The Aussie
right?
gold
this
stuff.
Is the one that we are going to blow across all the other ones. So I will show you that. We don't want too much, and we have to do it fairly quick once it gets on there.
Of
so
course.
then we have to do this. Yeah, watch closely.
Okay.
No, I can't even see with my glasses on.
I feel like I had to be quiet.
I know, it's just like intense. You're not breathing. I'm like, it's okay.
It's amazing. This is certainly not how I expected the bloom to actually
Right?
come. This
so
is amazing.
if you look at that, we
That is
just
so
skim that over top of the colors.
Wow. That is amazing. And look what it's been able to bring out as well. Like that surrounding white in with a bit of the gold. And I look towards like this one right there.
Right, the blue and the gold.
And then it's got like this purple little bits, and then it really centers on the blue, and then it blooms out in the white again. That's amazing.
Now I see I probably put a little too much on, so I'm just going to give it another. Often I'll use a straw, but I think I'm just going to sneak and grab that straw. Sorry, guys.
And here I was expecting that we would just spin this very quickly to actually almost pull it off with the G-force.
Yeah.
But no, it's blowing the
It's
paint
blowing.
around in the circle
Yeah.
as well. Ah, a more accurate and acute touch there.
But when you're nervous and know people are watching you, you might go too hard and go right through.
Okay, I think, are my eyes playing tricks on me?
They're growing.
Okay, they
Yes,
are growing. I
yes,
was about
they
to say,
are.
the colors have changed now.
Yes, they
And
are absolutely expanding. Isn't that neat?
that is so
I'm
neat.
just-
Like some have been a bit more highlighted as well, and some have really started to come out, I think, in the waves naturally as well.
So this is the thing with fluid art, is that they don't always want to work with you. And if you put too much, like this, the Aussie gold stuff, I call it, right? Is if you put too much of it on, then you can't get through to the stuff underneath. And if you blow too hard, then you blow those colors out of the way and
Yeah.
you see the white underneath.
Right.
So
Well, I will admit as well too, so like when you have been kind of blowing more and more away, you have found centers
I
like
have,
that.
and that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
But see, these white ones, I was not going for. So sometimes we can also take a little just to make it a little more interesting.
And just draw in your own pattern and everything. Oh man, that's so cool.
Okay, and now,
And now it happens.
now
There we
and
go.
Now the magic, make it grow.
Wow, that is
And I'm
amazing.
gonna look over here. You tell me if it goes everywhere.
It's going on. It's going on. I think there's just two corners. I
Just
think.
gonna shift a little so that we don't lose all of the design on the one side.
Hi viewer, how are you doing?
Yeah, we can still talk. I just can't look at this spinning.
Let's leave her. Wow.
So
That's
if you have a
changed so
spot,
much.
right? If you have a little spot that it's just not cooperating, you can just kind of coax it into cooperating.
There you go. There's some color. You're missing some color? You feeling left out? There's some
Yeah.
color there for you.
Ta-da. And then
Wow.
just by putting that there, it'll help to pull the rest down.
Yeah.
And then I just go like that because I'll just use that for later.
No, that is fantastic. So, like, the next step you would have when completing these coasters, you would kind of case these in resin just to make
Yes.
sure that the paint
Yeah, and
wouldn't have any
that's-
risk of chipping or anything
Absolutely.
like that.
That's where I started with the resin. Is I didn't do it for, I never even did the coasters. Again, this technique is generally done on a small scale to get this design. So, I mean, yeah,
Oh my.
right? So
That.
to get that technique on a bigger, I've done it on a 40 by 40 inch
Okay.
canvas. Yeah, 40 by 40 inch canvas. So almost
That's
4
still
feet.
massive.
It is. You don't get quite as much of the cells that are on that, but yeah, it's.
So on a
still
40
fun.
by 40, like how would you spin it typically?
I made a little spinner out of. I actually for that one I used this with 1 by 2s.
Nice.
Well, actually I did them parallel, and then very, very, very challenging. But since then I have made a spinner myself out of wood. So
Amazing. Well, yeah, sometimes when you want to get to a bigger scale, you got to be
Yeah.
creative a little
Yeah,
bit to yourself as
exactly.
well, right?
Yeah.
That is so
So
cool.
we'll call this one done. Do you want to give one a try?
I think I'm afraid that's all the time that we have,
Okay.
but I think I don't know if I would be able to give this
It
practice
is tricky.
justice,
It
but
is,
I
yeah.
think it was so cool and such a treat to watch you do it as well. For those of you that are viewing so far, I don't know if we have any comments or anything there, Perry. Just before we sign off, oh, we do have something.
Michaela said that they put a bunch of paint on a canvas and threw them like frisbees.
In the dark, in the park one night.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, that's
Yeah.
exactly how I would
Yeah.
imagine it to
It
be
was-
done as well
it was
too.
a lot
My
of
first
fun.
time at
Yeah.
least. Well, thank you again so much for commenting there, Michaela, as well, and for James as well. I know that there were some previous comments there before. Thank you so much for your engagement and tuning in so far. That's going to be all the time that we have today with RM Fluid Arts, though I know that there is so much potential for more, maybe in a potential third season. But for those of you tuning in, thank you again so much for tuning in so far.